Hello and welcome to Youth in Agriculture. As always, this is where we bring you inspiring stories of the Kenyan youth who are contributing to our growth through agribusiness. And on today's episode, we have an inspiring story by one engineer Mungai, an electrical engineer by profession who quit his job years back to start an empire in incubation and brooding business. This was inspired by the high demand of chicks from poultry farmers. He will also be sharing with us on ways that you can be able to successfully and profitably achieve your production goals in poultry farming. My name is Susan Mwangi. Welcome to the show. Engineer Mungai, thank you so much for having us today. Yes, and as always, we really like to hear your story. How did you start? What sparked your inspiration to start this kind of poultry business?
My name is James Mungai. And I'm an engineer by profession. Specifically, I'm an electrical engineer. I connected my passion, which I got from being raised up by a farmer who was doing chicken farming. I connected that with my profession, which was engineering. And I'll tell you how it's all connected. So it does not start here. I'll take you where it all started.
So Engineer Mungai will be giving us a farm tour, showing us the different departments on this farm, telling us where it all started, where he is at, and where he is moving to. Tell us how you were able to transition, from such a prestigious title of an engineer, a good employment, to just wanting to start from scratch and creating, or rather establishing this business.
When I finished my education, I got a job somewhere in some company where I worked for about 2 or 3 years. But all this time I had a very deep passion in me that I could do more with my engineering skills than being employed. And this is where we try to tell our youth today that when you go through your education, you don't have to rely on employment all the time. You can use your skills to be of benefit to your family and to the community. So all that time I had a very deep passion on how I could apply my engineering skills in a more practical way, a way that I could touch the community, a way that I could even help my family. And I mentioned that we grew up in a farming background where my dad was farming chickens. He was a poultry farmer. And that's the point where I thought that I could apply my engineering skills, that is my profession, with my passion, or the background that I was brought in. And in my research, I noticed a very big gap in the poultry farming industry. The gap where there was a big challenge in farmers obtaining chicks in due time. An example was a time when my dad had booked for some chicks, some 300 chicks from some hatching company, and he had to wait for a whole 6 months before he could obtain 300 chicks only. And as you know, 6 months is a long time in business. So this really motivated me to come in and try to sort out this gap. And I thought if we could develop machines that are able to hatch chicks in the modern way, we could be able to bridge this gap.
And how much capital were you required to have at the initial stage of the business?
When you have a passion to do something, don't get frustrated because of lack of capital, because capital is never enough. I usually tell the youth that once you have passion in you, the little capital you have is able to get you moving. Don't wait to have so much money for you to be able to start a project or a business. So when I was employed, I used to save something small, and by the end of 3 years, I had about 80,000 or so in my savings, and that was my starting point in incubation business. I consulted my friends, and we came up with a machine that we made from scratch, an incubator that we made from scratch. It was hatching 12 eggs, or rather its capacity was 12 chicken eggs. And we did a lot of research on it, and we developed it. And at the end of the 3 weeks, which is the incubation period for poultry, we managed to hatch, out of the 12 eggs, we managed to hatch 1 chick. That for an ordinary person who didn't have some passion inside, he could have given up. He could have said that all this work, all this capital, all this time, energy and effort is wasted. But we saw it in a very different way. We thought that if we're able to hatch, or rather to bring life out of a machine, it means that if we put more energy to it, we can be able to bring something better that has a higher hatch rate. So that one chick really encouraged us, and we usually tell people that I started with one chick. My beginning point was one chick. It's the one that gave us life, the one that gave us motivation to move on. So from that time, we now improved on our designs and so on with a lot of research, and we started making incubators of 50 eggs capacities, 100 eggs, and hatch rate. At that time, the hatch rate started improving. There was even a time we could even achieve 90% hatch rate, and I thought now it's time for me to start fully. I resigned from my employment and I dedicated all my time and effort to making incubators. The main challenge in Kenya, as you know, is you may have some capital, you may have some idea, but then you don't have a place to start your business. So with help of my family, I was able to acquire a small piece of land. We didn't start from here. I started from a very small place of land. And that's why I set up a very small poultry house and a store, whereby I used to make incubators and at the same time I used to hatch chicks, because it may not be a very good idea to be selling incubators and you're not using them, because by using a product, that's how you learn.
What is the capacity of the incubators that you have at the moment?
The capacity in terms of the incubators we have here is 11,000 eggs. You can see there's one for 1,000 eggs there, there's one for 3,000, another one for 2,500, this big one for 5,500, and as you realized, it's been a long journey. So when farmers visit us here, we tell them don't focus on where you are, just try to see where you are and believe you can be able to get to where you are. You don't a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. You're talking about 2012, so that's about 8 years from where we started.
There is the traditional way where we used the chickens lying on the eggs. Does that pose any challenges to the chicks that have been hatched through the artificial way when it comes to adapting to their natural environment?
There is no difference in hatching chicks through the natural incubation of a brood hen and hatching chicks through the modern ways of these incubators. There's no difference at all. It's not like what we hear about the plants of GMOs. There's nothing being modified in the chick. There's nothing genetically being modified in the hatching of chicks in an incubator.
What are the different types of poultry that you hatch here?
Here we focus on a particular breed called improved kienyeji, and also partially we also try to explore rare breeds like the ones you've seen here called Amala duck, but we specialize in improved kienyeji. Improved kienyeji being of different types like curry, Croira, Kenbro and others.
Very inspiring story from Engineer Mungai on how he has been able to grow his business from a capacity of 11 eggs to 11,000 eggs in just 11 years. Stay with us. Once we come back from the break, he will be showing us around on how these incubators work. My name is Susan Mwangi.